Hola, bienvenidos. Welcome to Barter Sessions. My name is Kaustubh and
My name is Prathamesh.
right. And we are going to talk about relational database management systems. So we are going to take our way into the world of databases, then SQL, then PLSQL, if I suppose, right? And why do we need all this? I mean, why are we doing this RDBMS?
Modern software applications require database. I've heard of that.
Databases.
In order to store data, retrieve data.
Right. I mean, all I knew about data was like the data is stored in some variable, integer x equal to 5, or maybe array or something like that.
Yeah, we
So,
do that in programs.
so applications are programs, right? So why do we need RDBMS?
Well, one reason might be that all these variables, they are all volatile. I mean, once the process is over, they are free. I mean, we need some kind of permanent storage.
Right, exactly. So databases are the persistent storage mechanisms which every modern application requires, more or less, give and take. Even your mobile apps, I believe they are special kind of databases called as SQLite. Alright, that thought for something for later. So we'll begin with, of course, introduction to RDBMS. Database management system. So when this word comes to our mind, database management system, of course it has got two parts clearly, database and management system. Database is nothing but a collection of information, but it has some more to it. It's not just collection of information. Then it could have been array also. Array is also collection of information. Or file is also, simple text file is also collection of information. But database is a collection of information in some organized manner. We'll see what that organized manner is. And the other part of DBMS is management system. Management system is basically, it's a software written by somebody, Oracle or Microsoft or IBM, yes. So it's software written by somebody which interacts with user who is using the data. It interacts with other applications and the database itself to manipulate the data. For example, it interacts with user, like you can log into a database using username and password and you can run queries or something like that. It interacts with other applications. You can connect the database to your software in Java using database connectivity. You can connect your database like MySQL to PHP code using some connectivity, some functions. And it interacts with database. I mean, of course, it goes to database and takes the data, gives it to you, inserts the data on behalf of you into the database, changes it, and all those kinds of stuff. So, in a nutshell, it's a software. Management system is a software written by somebody, some vendor, which interacts with us, the users, other applications, some other application that we have written using Java, C++ or C# or PHP, and the database itself to manipulate the data, I mean to give and take the data or store it, right? Okay, so now we know what is DBMS. So what is RDBMS?
Well, at least from the full form, it's Relational Database Management Systems.
Right, I'm glad that you know that. Okay, so that's the start. It's Relational Database Management System. Relational is the word. Okay, so what do you think? Relational.
See, basically in the database there are many tables. So with the word relation, I mean that I just
Hang on a second. I haven't used table right now. We didn't discuss table right now, right?
yeah.
Table hasn't featured in our discussion just yet.
Yeah, so there is going to be some connectivity into the database.
So RDBMS. RDBMS, there's an extra R now in the DBMS, that is for relational database management system. To simplify the stuff, you are absolutely bang on. It's a database management system, it's a DBMS where database is a collection of tables, right? We just said earlier that database is a collection of data in some organized manner. So here the organized manner is tables. So it's nothing but relational database management system is a scheme where database is a collection of tables, and we know tables, right? The Excel sheets that we use so often.
We have done it in high school and everything.
Even in high school that we have done, yeah. Tables. Table is like, yeah, rows and columns. It's what I imagine. Matrix in maths?
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same thing. So now what are these tables? So you can visualize table like this, I suppose. That's what we have been visualizing it.
Just like in an Excel sheet
Yeah, Excel sheet. Columns and then rows.
with some headers maybe.
Yeah, some headers. Let's say name. Okay. So table is nothing but this is a table. Table is a collection of rows. These are your rows and columns. So these are your columns. Right. Apart from that, this relational database management system, in the table, you can also apply some constraints onto these columns. Now, constraints, the pure English translation would be
Some rules.
some rules, exactly. So I could say that, okay, on this column, you cannot repeat the value. That means all the values in these columns.
So there
Should
cannot
be.
be two Kaustubhs or two Prathamesh.
Exactly. If you say name is like your name is.
Prathamesh.
Okay, I know that. Prath and my name is Kaustubh. So you cannot repeat Prath in here, right? Because in this column values should be unique. So we can apply that constraint. Then someday you might say if this other column stores the marks, you can say that
They have to be greater than 0.
yeah, they have to be greater than or equal to 0. You could score a 0, right? I haven't scored it. Okay, so marks could be greater or equal to 0. So that constraint I can apply on this column. So now, how do you say table? Table is a collection of rows and columns with constraints. Constraints, of course. Constraints applied on columns, right? Data is eventually stored in columns actually, and number of columns make up one row. Is it safe to say that?
Yeah.
Number of columns make up one row.
Mm.
Right. So you know now things about tables. They have got columns, they have got rows, and they have got constraints on the column. We'll elaborate upon these constraints in much detail as we go along. Why do we need arguments? Sorry, why do we need arguments?
I mean, all
I'll counter argument you. Yeah.
it's required for all the modern day applications
Why?
to store and retrieve data. The same thing I said before.
Yes, but then I could store my data in an array or.
It's temporary,
Okay, so you want to
something permanent.
you want the data to persist. Okay, maybe then I could use files
So
like text files or binary files. You remember we used to code that in C programming language, the fp equal to f open and some file, and then fp dot close, the file would get saved. Then next time you can again say fp dot open the file, read it from there. I could use that.
but then still you need some kind of organization, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think. What do you mean by that organization?
I mean, I want this data. I want the name of people staying in Mumbai.
Right.
So then there are going to be so many number of files over there. So which
Let's
file?
just imagine. Let's visualize. Let's say you want to store information about students, maybe. Let's say we want to store data of students, right? If I could store this in file, so this is my file, and how would I store it? Okay, Sahil 5, that is roll number, address, that is Mumbai, followed by what? Marks 95. Then another student maybe, Prathamesh, followed by roll number 67, city Pune, and marks 93. Okay, so this is the way I would store the data in the file, right? Then third record, fourth record, fifth record, sixth record, seventh record, eighth record, ninth record, right? Now, as I said, there's no other structure apart from the fact that the data is stored record by record. So earlier, if you could say, if the same thing would have been stored in some kind of tabular format, for example, something like this. This is Prathamesh, Sahil, Amy, and let's say John, and then their roll numbers, and let's say then their city, let's just state MH, MP, then Delhi is called as Delhi or what? Yeah, Delhi, and then
T and Tamil Nadu.
okay, TN, Tamil Nadu. Prathamesh is from Tamil Nadu. That's good. Alright, so, and then you could store the marks. Everybody's getting good
All the
marks.
highest marks.
Yeah, you would get it. Alright, so see, these are two ways of storing the data. One way I'm storing that in some kind of tabular structure, and then second is your file. Alright, this is file, and this is, let's say, table. That's what we imagine we'll store it in the database, right? Same, students file, students table. Now, what's the advantage of this over this?
I can easily jump to any cell.
Yes.
I mean, I just want.
Actually, I just want to arrange, I just want the highest marks, right? So I'll just only retrieve this column, this column. I don't need to look at this data at all.
Right.
Here in file, it reads record. So I have to read first record, okay, then fetch out this value, then second record, fetch out this value. Here I don't bother about other columns at all. I'll only put my attention on this column. Right? So you can see immediately with your naked eyes that as soon as we format it, that's how we format, right? That's why we use Excel sheets. The best example is Excel sheet against Word documents. Most of your business plans or your meeting details, you put them inside Excel sheets rather than your Word docs. Why? Because you have a particular structure to it. You can just see the columns which you want, you can fetch them. Right, exactly. So
Storing data into files is like putting all movies, music, documents in one single folder.
exactly. So there is no clear distinction between the different, related columns. Right. So as we said, I think we come to the conclusion that first of all, database is a RDBMS, if you could say, is a persistent storage. So we can, permanently store the data. Second of all, it provides us with this, nice tabular structure where data access and data information retrievals, rather we say. It's not simply a data, right? I mean, see, this is data, and the information would be to calculate the highest in the class. So these are the marks. I'll just look at the values of this column. We'll get the highest of this, that is 98, and I could say, okay, so highest is 98. So for retrieving information from the data that we are going to store, I think databases or RDBMS, for that sake, are a much better choice than files, right? One more thing is there, which we are going to talk about in very short span of time, is that files cannot establish data relationships. Files do not give you data relationships, whereas database tables, you remember we said this, that database is a collection of related data in organized manner. Now we understood that organized manner is tables,
Yeah.
right? We are still not figured out what is related data. So that related data is nothing but data relationships, and that is again not possible in the files. So we'll see what those data relationships are. For example, what could be related to students?
Maybe their college.
Their college, or maybe their department. In which department do they study? So basically, when you say the two tables are related, basically they share some common data. So if I would have to depict this, so I'll keep this file as it is without disturbing the file. Alright, and okay, I'll step up and I'll write these two tables basically. Let's say this is my student table, this is roll number, this is name, and department number. And then I have one more table, that is your
Departments.
department number, your department name, and let's say the HOD of the department. Right. Now if I say roll number 1 and let's say John, department number 11, then I say 2, Amy, department number 11, then I say 3, Cecil, department number 11 again, and 3, Joshua, department number 12, department number 11 is mechanical, and HOD is some Mr. Newton, and then department number 12 is computer, science, and HOD is some Mr. Gates, right? Quite an international college of ours, as it
This
seems.
should be 4, right?
Right?
Roll number.
Okay, roll number is 4, sorry. Alright. Now, if you look at the two tables here, student table and department table, if I may say. Alright. So, if you look at these two tables, they have something in common. What is that? Department number?
Department.
See, if we would have removed this, if we do not keep this in common, but I want to know in which department each student studies, and I want to know who is the head of the department, then perhaps I would have to do something like 1 John Mac, instead of this, Mac Newton, right? Then 2 Amy Mac Newton, 3 Cecil Mac Newton, because department number 11, 4 Joshua Com Science Gates. This is how I would do it if I am not using the common column. So I think this is all getting repeated, right? This 3 rows got this entire data got repeated unnecessarily. I could just say 11, 11, 11, and I know that 11 is mechanical and Newton in another table. So it's saving a lot of duplication of data using this common thing amongst the tables.
Can help in memory management.
Can help in memory wise, definitely. Now, can you see this kind of thing happening in files?
No.
I mean, how do you do that in files? So, we'll have to do something like, so we'll add the department number here, 11, 12, right? Then in some other file, you'll have to store the departments, right? Is it visible? Okay, so department files, so let's say 11 and Mac and Newton, right? 12 Com Science and Gates, right? Now these two are separate files, right? Doesn't make any sense. I'll have to read this record, then this record. In that I'll have to get department number, then I have to read this record.
So you have to store in which file you have to fetch the department number.
Exactly. Then search this in this and then get this information. Whereas in here, as we are very shortly going to learn, we have these query languages. We can just say get department name and student name from student cross department. We can just join the two tables and get whatever data we want. See again, so for file, better thing would be store everything in one file, right? So just say 11, instead of 11, let's say Mac and Newton, Com Science and Gates and something like that all the time for all the reports. Again, that leads to duplication of data. So files do not give you anything else apart from storage, right? You just have to read them manually, line by line, record by record. If you want to do any kind of alteration, you'll have to search it. Search operation is again manual, sequential, one by one. Whereas use of RDBMS gives us lots of flexibility. Lots of queries we can perform using this. We can avoid the replication of data first of all using the relations.
Also save our time.
Save our time, and as we are about to discover in very short amount of time, we have got this nice little language to play with the data in the tables. So yeah, files, big no. Also, one big importance of using this database relationship between tables is that it keeps the data in consistent state. For example, if the department is shut down, what happens to students? They should automatically get removed from the system. There is no department, there are no students, right? I mean, entire department is shut down. So students should not be there. I mean, it doesn't make sense. There is no department. And you will say, okay, I'm pursuing my engineering from mechanical department. Where's the mechanical department? Mechanical department is no more, right? So if I delete this row, from the table, automatically all the rows in this student table where the department number value is 11 will get deleted. So data remains in consistent state basically. You will not find any student who is belonging to that now defunct mechanical department, right? So again, that is not possible in files. So you delete something from this file says, what do I have to do with it? It's your problem. Another file, I'm a separate file. You delete anything from this file, I don't give a shit. Lots of deletions happen all the day. I just delete all my posts on Facebook as soon as I upload them. Yeah, I actually wait for half an hour and then there are no likes or comments. What about you?
He's
In
right.
what context? I don't use Facebook.
That's too bad. I pray for you.
You should come on Twitter.
Alright. What's that?
Also, one more point.
Yes?
I mean, for example, in the case if HOD is replaced,
Right.
so in the previous case you would have to change everywhere.
Yeah, if we are storing the data, same data again and again, so right, we can easily change the HOD of any department and that change gets reflected for all the students, right? Because students are only storing their department number, not the entire departmental details. So you have to make change only here, not in every student's row. Again, great point. Yes, we said. I've heard there are so many types of these RDBMS, like sometimes I used Oracle. Have you used any
I
RDBMS?
have just heard of MySQL.
MySQL. I guess that's free.
Yeah, that's why I heard it.
Okay, I know. You are free. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I used MS SQL Server. Have you ever used MS SQL Server?
I've just heard it. All I've used is Oracle and MySQL.
Right. So yeah, these are different vendors of relational database management system basically. Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL Server, IBM DB2. I've honestly never used DB2 actually. So if these are all DBMS, like RDBMS, then is there any difference between these different vendors?
They are different by the companies and maybe there must be something different, right?
Yeah, there is something different. There's a bit like every vendor has their own data types. What kind of data you can store, what you cannot store. Although most of the vendors allow most of the data types, some of them do not allow something. I guess we'll see that soon. But then, rather than talking about what's different in them, let's also talk about what's similar in them. What is similar in them? See, like today you are using MySQL. As you said, you have been using MySQL since last 6 months in your project. And suddenly you join this new firm and this firm uses Oracle. They don't have MySQL. They are rich. Fortunately, you got a job. So now these guys use Oracle, but you have never used Oracle before because you have always used free. So MySQL. So now
There must be something so that the method of retrieval storage is the same.
but because you know both of them are RDBMS, so you know that both of them are going to store data in tables, right? So what's the common thing? Another common thing is how you retrieve the data from the database, and that is where we look at this something which you already know. I'm very sure is SQL. So out of this all different possible databases, if you may say, for example, you can have this Oracle, you can have MySQL. By the way, MySQL is owned by Oracle, right? It's just that they maintain it for free for people like you and me, of course. Alright, then you have MS SQL Server, and then you have this DB2.
There are many more, right?
Yeah, there are many more. So, all of this, one way to interact with all of this, like, is just this. It can let you interact with this, with this, with this, and with this.
So is it just like a C programming language?
How do you compare this
I
with
mean,
C?
there is one common word, language over here.
Okay. Okay, right. It's a language. Yeah, it's a language, but it's very different to that of your C.
Yeah, so syntax is going to be different.
Exactly. But also you won't find any, like traditional features like if-else or loops
So there's
or
no
pointers.
programming aspect is zero.
I won't be saying that, but it's different. The best thing about SQL is the people who are scared of programming, who don't like programming, and they think that they suck at it, which I don't know why they feel that, but I was one of them. They usually think that they can make their career into databases. So people almost feel that databases, is a separate sector to that of programming. If I'm not good at programming, okay, I can always do databases. And actually people make a fortune out of it. I mean, I've seen many people who just decided very early in their career that I'm not good at programming, so okay, I'm not going to develop anything, I'm going to go to SQL. But that doesn't mean that they are not developers. They're actually developers because they are designing databases. Without databases there are no applications. So they are developers. So yeah, it's just a parallel thing to, you could say, your C++ or something like that. They're just two parallel streams. Alright, so SQL is a common query language which can be used to retrieve data or insert data, or just to, in the simple words, to interact with all relational database management systems. So that's your SQL. You could say it's an interface. What do you mean by interface?
Some level of something so that I can communicate.
It often comes with this term called as abstraction. That is, see, we do not know how actually Oracle stores this table. I mean, now I'm going to split it out. In the last 15 minutes or so, we have cursed a lot about files. We have projected them as, unworthy creatures and, unintelligent, dumb storage, cows. Yeah, no, sorry, cows at least. And we have said what not about files. And we have praised our tables and our RDBMS as much as we can. But at the end of the day, yes, I admit it, that these tables that we are seeing, these fancy little tables, these are eventually stored as files. You want to store something permanent, that goes on hard disk. And hard disk is collection of files. There's no table, there's no array, there's no variable, there's only files and files and files. So even though we see them, we visualize them as tables, and we play with these queries and joins and relations and all these things, eventually it all boils down to files.
So the programmers have done it to simplify it for us.
Exactly. These guys, Oracle and MySQL and MS SQL Server, these guys have, done that all the bad stuff, or you could say, the difficult stuff, and provided us with these tables. Okay, use tables, manipulate them, twist them, tease them, do whatever, get your information. We'll do the dirty work of, doing actual coding with those files and give you this nice little, you could say, interface to play with. So again, there's one more level of abstraction, that is SQL. So we as a database developers, we just fire the queries using SQL without even worrying that how do I actually get the data from tables. Once from tables, that means eventually from files. Yeah, eventually from files. So it's a lot of level of abstraction. You could say, if I have to draw it, it's something like at the bottom sits the files in which I have got data. Then you have got your tables, which is a level of abstraction over files, right? Provided by these guys. And then sits my SQL.
And the tables are not so crooked.
Yeah, tables are better than this. I was not vaccinated for polio earlier in my childhood. Alright, so these are actually at the bottom of it there are files. Then these your tables that we see. Oh, amazing, smooth table. And then we have got this SQL, which we use to get the data from tables. Tables actually get the data from files. So this is the level of abstraction that we are playing with. So you could say that SQL is our interface to the world of relational database management system. So it's a query language which can be used to interact with the tables. Right. Structured query language, first developed by IBM, if I'm right, I'm not really sure. And like every other thing, now there's a ANSI standard that is available for SQL. As I said earlier, what are the differences between these different vendors, this Oracle and MySQL and MS SQL Server and DB2, is that first of all, while you use SQL, SQL is common, like you can use SQL on all of these. But some of the data types that are supported for storing values in the columns within the SQL, some of them are not supported by Oracle. Then, for example, enum data type is supported in MySQL, I guess. I used it, but something which is not supported by Oracle. Then there is few more differences, like you cannot rename a table. For renaming a table, suppose you have created a department table, you want to rename this table to departments, then the query, the SQL query that you write for that renaming operation has to be written a bit differently in Oracle than that you would use in MySQL. So these are the little small differences that are there between different vendors, but they are really minor. Alright, so now when we talk about SQL, we just talk about these important parts of SQL, and that are DDL, DML, views, transactions, and embedded SQL. DDL? That was the lamest ever joke I have heard. Like a functionality, like every company has this HR department, finance department, academics department, something like that. So SQL has its own parts, you could say. Eventually this is all SQL, right? So DDL is data definition language. It's related to your database schema. Right.
I was waiting
for
that.
you to ask that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Database schema is the plan of your database. For example, I'll just start with schema. So let's say, if I have to explain schema, okay, if I have to discuss the schema begins with this.
What?
That is blank. Yeah, actually. When you ask me, create a database schema for my application. So I would say, okay, blank sheet. Yeah. Then I say, okay, let's give some database some name. For example, give me your application's name.
Debutters?
No reverters.
Unrated?
Yeah, of course. Any other? Yes, sir.
What?
Bhagat? Okay. So let's take the application's name as Bhagat. Okay, so that is Bhagat. Right. It's a cool name, right? Bhagat. Hey, Bhagat. Alright. So now, okay. So Bhagat is the database name. Our database name is same as our application name. Then I have to decide what will be the tables. Database is a collection of tables, right? In RDBMS, database is a collection of tables. So what kinds of tables will be there in Bhagat? So
Ritesh.
no. Okay, that's going too far now. Student one. So this Bhagat application is basically a student management system for this particular college called as Bhagat and Bhagat. So there's this college, this very stupid college, Bhagat and Bhagat.
Must be an engineering college.
Must be an engineering college, of course. So student, then there's one more table called as Yeda Bhagat. Right. This table will store all the details of the teachers. Alright. Then Yeda Bhagat and then
Department.
yeah, department. Thank you. I was thinking of something else. But that's okay. Okay. So these are the table names. This will be the tables in database. Now this table will have columns, right? So student will have roll number, then you have name,
Address.
then you have
Marks.
like gender, something like that. Right. So this entire thing is called as database schema. That means the plan. What will be the names of the tables? What will be the name of the database? What will be the name of the column? What will be the type of the column? For example, roll number will be integer. Name will be text or string of some kind. Then gender should be.
Also string.
And
Character.
I want it to be enum. Now I use enum. It should be either male or female.
Yeah.
Or if I am a bit more inclusive, I would say other It could be any of these three values at yeah, we could say
Transgender.
that is other. Right. So ET is extraterrestrial if you want to add, but that's okay. The values for this column will be at least this or this, not from outside this collection. That is enough for me, right? So now, so as I said, database schema is the name of the database, the names of the tables, names of the columns type, and one more thing, that is constraints, that which will be the primary key, that is the unique column. Maybe you can also put some constraints, like you can have a marks column, and you can say marks should be greater or equal to 0, right? So all this constraints, column names, tables, database, it all becomes your plan, your design for storing data, and this is all is together called as database schema. So all the SQL that we use, all the SQL syntax that we use to create database, create table, rename columns, put constraints, delete constraints, all the syntax for that SQL makes for a DDL, that is database definition language. Yeah. And then there is something called as DML, which is database manipulation language.
You're the teacher.
Right. Data manipulation languages, right now, DDL was all about creating the schema, but we did not talk about data at all. What data will go in the table, how will we read it, how will we change it, how will we delete it, how will we sort it, how will we search it. So all those things, all the syntax for that is also present in SQL, which will make a data manipulation language. Like, it's all about data. Searching, sorting, inserting, deleting, updating, all those kinds of things are possible using SQL, and that part of the SQL is called as data manipulation language, that is DML. Then there is something called as views. Views is a logical table. For example, if this is my department table, if I say department table has 5 columns, like department number, department name, HOD, capacity and year of establishment, right? I don't know why did they say that, but if this is my table and there are lots of rows, already there is a lot of data present in this table, I want to work with the subset of this table. Subset means I want to work with a limited part of this table. I don't care about year of establishment, I don't care about HOD. All I want to know is department number, name and capacity. So I create my virtual table. I create my logical table where through SQL, I create one more table for myself, which I'll give the name. I'll say my date. This is my name for this table. It will only have department number, department name, and capacity. So now all my queries, all my data manipulation language queries or commands will be fired on this table.
So will this be stored into the memory?
No, it's like it will not be persistent. I'll get it for time being, for my use. I'll get it. It's like a subset of this big table. This is called as view.
It's like a variable or an array.
Kind of, like in memory, like in RAM, but it won't be stored back into the disk. On disk, there is only one table. So I'm taking my own table out of this, working with it, getting the results, using the results, and saying, okay, my job is done. So then view diminishes. Right? So views are called as logical tables or logical view of the table, whatever we call it as. They are quite useful because they eliminate redundancy. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to know about HOD and year of establishment at all, so I'll just work with that. See, I took a very simple example, but you could actually create a very complex view. For example, give me the departments whose capacity is greater than 100. So only those rows and columns will come in my view, and then I can fire my queries on that particular logical.
What is the exact reason for doing that? Is it time, or is it memory, or is it ease?
All of them.
Okay.
It's like you are playing with small set of data, exactly the data you want to play with. Then there is transactions. Transactions like bank transactions, the commits and rollbacks, if you remember.
Yeah.
For example, your ATM, right? A sequence of steps. Go to your ATM, insert your card, enter your PIN, take the type of account, then
Enter the money that.
enter the money. Then finally it asks, do you want this, yes or no? And then you say yes. Then it does it. So commit is only performed at the end of these sequences. That means finally in the bank database your balance is deducted after everything is done. In between this sequence, if there is some error, for example, you just entered your PIN number, an amount to be withdrawn, and the ATM blew. There was a bomb blast in the ATM.
Seen from
Server
outside.
gone. Server.
Presumably done by you yourself, and the ATM just blew. So now what? What happened to your balance?
What he will do? He was also gone.
Okay, yeah, but I'm more concerned about his balance. Right. So what actually happens to your balance?
It should remain intact.
Intact, because the commit was not there. Right. We just waited for last yes. The key was never pressed before he pressed something else.
Otherwise,
They are the set of statements. It's like usually if you want to visualize this, it's like this. Transactions are like a function. They are collected. The SQL statements are collected inside a block. Either the entire block is executed or nothing. Either the entire block is executed or nothing. If there is some problem midway through the block, everything is rolled back. All the changes that have been made are rolled back. Right? So it's a group of queries that are executed together. Then there is embedded SQL, which is really good. Usually, if you want to use the database with your application, you have two options. First is you can use the connectivity part. There are some APIs which you can use to connect with the particular vendor, and then you have to fire the SQL within strings. You have to pass SQL as a string. Now we have not studied SQL as it, but you have to pass SQL like select star from table as in the string, right? And then you have to fire these queries using those functions in the API. Second thing is, SQL comes with a subpart of the, or you could say a part of the SQL is embedded. You can just fire this like C statements. Embedded SQL in C is like something like this. Exec SQL select star from student.
is this the actual syntax? Or
Yeah,
is it
it's really the actual syntax. End exec SQL, something like this. So it's a C program. You won't believe it, but it's a C program. SQL is embedded within C. So as soon as you start this exec block, the C compiler treats everything in between as SQL. In between this, start and end. It's really like, it's not embedding the SQL within your programming language, that is C. So embedded SQL is possible with your C, C++, Java, COBOL, and lots of other languages, right? So this is one more part of the SQL. Now, to begin with, we'll start with the data definition language for SQL. So in that, we'll perform the queries. We'll start performing the queries, which is what I'm waiting for. Enough of the theory and all this explanation. Let's just get down to the action and fire the queries for creation of database, removing a database, creating a table, removing a table, renaming a table, adding a new column, renaming a column, changing a column's type, removing the column, then adding the constraint and removing the constraint. So all that we are going to do. Alright, then let's get started with the action.